Patrick.
Hey, Michael J.
So, it's weirdly unstable this week. We have an extra episode.
Yeah, we were, usually just having the one, but it's not exactly static. It's not stable.
It's stable at all.
Unstable, yeah.
It's very, I would say, unstable.
Oh, is that a reference to our preview card, perhaps?
It is. It was poorly laid, but it was in fact a reference. So our preview card
very cryptic of you.
It is. Yeah. Well, not for long. Our preview card from Unstable is Very Cryptic Command.
Ooh, spooky. Wait. No, I don't know. That was very hard to understand reaction, but this card is. It's got a lot going on, man.
Yeah, it is kind of spooky. Look at the goblin on the picture. He's spooked by whatever's coming out of that bottle.
Yeah. It's like he's getting the message, but he's just not sure what it means.
Now, and I've read this card many times, and I'm not sure what it means 100%. So it's reference to Cryptic Command, the iconic, command. Was it a Lorwyn command?
Yep.
So it has the same casting cost as Cryptic Command at UUU1, but it's very cryptic. It's also an instant, and it has 4 abilities, and you can choose 2.
Yeah, you can untap 2 target permanents, tap each permanent target player controls with exactly 1 word in its name, discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards, or return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand.
So, there are a lot of interesting gameplay implications on this. Do you have any place you want to start in particular?
I guess the fact that you choose 2 modes and one of them is relearn.
Yeah.
So that if you have 2 very cryptic commands, you can just do all the things.
Oh, you can. You can do a lot of the things. That you're just bound by mana, right? So I guess the relearn ability is it's kind of parallel to the draw card ability on the original Cryptic Command, which is like kind of keeps it going. But this could be very specific. If you have 2 very cryptic commands, you can, at the very least, I guess, cycle through them over and over. I was interested in the second ability, which is tap each permanent target player controls with exactly 1 word in its name. So I was like, oh, where would this work? How about against any basic, right? So plains...
No, not snow-covered island.
Not snow-covered island.
Oh, what do you think about that?
I think that in the unstable metagame, that I will now go for mono snow basics, just to make sure that I would be defended from Very Cryptic Command. That's an important piece of the puzzle. You're right, because a regular island, regular mountain, regular plain, swamp, forest, doesn't matter how many of them you have, they'll be tapped, as well as other permanents that only have 1 word in their name. For example, I don't know, a millstone that only has 1 word.
Yep, but it's interesting going with that one because that's kind of just like another variation of, it's kind of it's some part of a fog and it's some part of a mana short. But like, have you checked out untap 2 target permanents?
I have. That is a potentially powerful thing to do if you've got, for example, maybe a double land or 2. You've got like some Karus, or you've got like some sort of a mana vault. You can, use this as an engine, right?
Right. I mean, if you have 2 very cryptic commands and 2 permanents that add up to 4 mana, you get Infinite Storm. And if you had 5, for instance, you could make infinite mana.
So if you had, like, for example, 2, what's the big Lotus, the 5 casting cost Lotus?
That's that's not the big. Are you talking about Blacker Lotus? You
No,
can
no,
use Blacker Lotus.
it costs 5 and it taps for 3 color.
No, not the
Gilded Lotus, right? So I'm just thinking because that makes
what about
triple blue.
Gleemox? If you have Gleemox, you can just like add infinite to your mana pool twice.
Yeah, I don't know what's Gleemax. Is that a different on card that I don't know that one?
It costs 100.
Oh,
and you can tap it for an infinite amount of mana.
All right, let's just go with things that I know the name of, right? So let's say you, just for sake of argument, you have 2 Lotus Petals, 2 Gilded Lotus and 2 Very Cryptic Commands. You can tap the 2 Gilded Lotus for 6 blue, cast Very Cryptic Command to untap those, and then rebuy the other Very Cryptic Command, and then you could just go to town with it, right? And make all the mana you want, all the storm count you want, cast so many different modes of Very Cryptic Command, because over time you're gonna accumulate so many resources. At some point you're just gonna be able to discard all the cards in your hand and then draw that many cards if you wanted to. For example, you could do that, and once you had a certain amount of mana, right, you could do that and return the other Very Cryptic Command. That would be a powerful ability. So you could just get even more card advantage, and then, like you said, storm it out.
This card seems like tailor-made for like some of those like wacky formats where people have like either a custom cube or play with alternate game rules where, like, for instance, everybody just has as much mana as they want, and they're just sitting around playing a 12-person game at the middle of the night at like Gen Con. Like,
I've been at those tables.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's weird that how many times there's like a gray ogre at the table, and you're like, how is this? That there's a Black Lotus and a gray ogre at the same table. But that's happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to play with the cards you draw.
You do.
So what do you think, man? What else is there to do with this besides fog, lock things down, or run the Savage rebuys?
I like this for, same as you. This is obviously not a card designed for tournament play, right? It's an uncard. So
yet, its primary purpose is infinite storm count.
I think that, a man with a hammer sees a lot of nails. I think that you and I are like, we are a pair of hammers.
You can tap the camel.
You can tap a desert. You can tap.
Dude, do you have any idea how important it is that the Abyss has 2 words in its name in case they have like an opalescence? So like it's like.
But you can tap the heck out of the opalescence.
Oh, of course, but the Abyss will still get in there.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about you is you always remember to say "the" in the Scarab God. It's actually, I've picked it up too, and it's just the correct way to do it. And people are like, then my Scarab God. No, it's not your Scarab. It's the Scarab God. It's like people who
put a little respect on it.
It is the Scarab God. That guy is the Scarab God. He's not like an Scarab God. No, he's the Scarab God. But anyway,
I know damn sure the Scarab God has earned it. I mean.
Every single tournament, the guy is earning it.
The Scorpion God, maybe, but
the Locust God is actually he's all right. He's the guy's all right.
Oh yeah.
So Very Cryptic Command. What do you do? Infinite Storm Count. That's the thing we can do. Very inaccurate Fog. Very inaccurate Mana Short, but very flavorful, right? Like, how can we get a bit of a Fog and a bit of a Mana Short and put it together? Because there's probably going to be some tables where you get a lot of a mana short and a lot of a fog at once, and you can be very happy with that.
Do we have the official ruling on whether you have to go based on if the English name has 1 word, or if, like, for instance, if you have a card that's 1 word in English but 2 words in French, does it count as 1 or 2?
Oh my God!
Is this a power level boost to all French cards that have like le or whatever?
So, I own only 1 copy, but I wish I owned 4. Right? I own 1 copy of one of those curse scrolls that has a 2 activation cost.
Yeah.
And I was under the mistaken belief that I could play that in tournaments and mine only had a 2 activation cost and other people's had a 3 activation cost for a short period of time. But I acquired one. I think that they just make you play according to the rules. So I think that it's according to the English.
That's a little bit of it. That doesn't make it the rules. This is literally an unset, bro.
Okay. That's a good point. What are the rules of the unset? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And I think that if you were to ask a judge, they would be like, it's an unset, man. Table rules. Table rules. You hit free parking, there's probably a bunch of money in the middle of the table for you to take. Sometimes. That's what I'm guessing. It's an unset.
Yeah, fair enough. Dude, I'm just waiting for very Jace the Mind Sculptor.
You know, they might have made it for this set, Patrick.
Dude, this set's gonna have Spike. Right, like the first 2 cards of the cycle, I guess, the Unholy Trinity. Like they made Timmy in Unglued. They made, Timmy Power Gamer in Unglued, then Johnny Combo Player in Unhinged. They're going to have Spike, Ruthless Spike the Mind Sculptor or whatever.
I mean, that'd be great if Spike. What if they just made Spike and it was just Jace the Mind Sculptor?
That's awesome.
That would be the best.
That would be awesome.
Like Spike, Ruiner of Fun, right? Like that would. It was just you two, Planeswalker. Mark Rosewater. There it is. Did your job for you. Spike, Ruiner of Fun.
No, I don't know about Ruiner of Fun. That Spike's goal is not to ruin fun. See, that's the difference between you and Spike's, like, for instance, Owen Turtenwald. You see, Owen is a very pure Spike. He wants to win. You're only you're like mostly Spike with a little Johnny, but you also got a fair bit of griefer in you.
What's griefer?
Griefer, like somebody who, like, if you were to add, if you get more pleasure out of beating your opponent with, say, like Stasis or Winter Orb or Armageddon, or putting them in a lock and forcing them to concede, you might be a griefer. If you enjoy sinkholing even when it's not right, you might be a griefer.
I'll tell you what kind of player I am. I'm a player who I want to think about the least number of things possible at this point in my life because, I'm very long in the tooth. I forgot Goblin Guide trigger in the last tournament I played it. I just forgot to do the Goblin Guide trigger. How many times have I played Goblin Guide that I could possibly forget Goblin Guide trigger? I just don't.
And that's very Cryptic Command.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that very Cryptic Command is going. I think actually, like you were saying. This, I think, I would put in my value cube. I think it would be fun to have in the value cube. So I have a cube that I mentally designed, but I haven't physically made it all yet. That's based on one of the formats from when I played in the Magic the Gathering Invitational. Aaron Forsythe designed it. It was just like all the cards have like things to put in your hand or draw a card or search your library or something. I think it'd be fun in that kind of a cube. That's another idea that I have for it.
Mm-hmm. Dude, they need to have like the command. Like choose 2, Profane Command or Cryptic Command or Primal Command or Incendiary Command or Austere Command.
What would be the casting cost?
I don't know, man, because this is I think the power curve and unstable, like all these different unsets, they seem to have like a slightly different spot in the game that they're balanced around. But I guess maybe 3 Wooburg.
I was thinking more like UUU, BB, RRGG, WW3. But then you can pick like 8.
No.
Pick 8.
No, I meant like pick 2 of the commands.
So like
pick 2
3, 8. That's really that's very powerful, Patrick.
For 8?
For 8? Think about it. Like, people
in an
just...
unset, dude.
But people
Dude,
just...
Do you realize for 2 mana, you can get a guy with... You can get a card that has any name you want at will.
What card is that?
That's its name. Its name is...
I was just thinking, like, for 7, you could get, like, an Approach to the Second Sun, which is pretty good. Or a Nicol Bolas or a Karn, right? People are, like, all excited to hit those cards for 7. For 1 more mana, you get 2 full commands? I mean, like, that's way better than a Karn. Like, a lot better.
I'm just saying you can get any name you want. At will.
Well,
1 word, 2 words, whatever you want. At will.
I think that this is just exposing my lack of experience as an unplayer.
Dude, I've ripped up a few Chaos Confettis and Blacker Lotuses.
I can imagine. You know, people don't know this about you, but you're just like, you know, if
Dude,
you're...
I played in the Unglued pre-release at WotC at the back when they had it in Seattle. Like the big unveiling around the World Championships a decade ago.
I mean, people don't know this. Like, you know, we've been friends for like 20 years, and we're like at like a 40 Pro Tour player draft session at CMU. In between drafts, you're playing like alternate formats, mental magic, testing out new sets. Like, you just super love the game, and you love the game in not just in the spiky way. Sorry to out you, bro.
I don't know about all that. What I do know is that Very Cryptic Command seems like if you're in the market for additional options for your cube or some other kind of wacky format, I don't think that I mean, Commander starts at a baseline of these cards not being legal, but it's also one of those deals where Commander's kind of house rules. So if your circle is into it, get down.
Free parking. All right. See you next week for a regular episode.
Yeah, or back in time to yesterday for this week's episode.
Yes. Yeah, this week's episode was very powerful about many standard Grand Prix. So if you didn't catch it, you should. It was fantastic.
Life didn't work so great. Tried to play Dredge, so jailer hate. Ghostly prison waiting for my untapped phase. Your core trapped in amber stasis days. Lost a lot of friends, got left behind. Had to find a way not to lose my mind. Trapped in a vault with nothing but time. Parents and my friends